Thank you, Ken. Absolutely humbled to be a part of this lineup today and to show you how football really goes full circle. Got a chance to play for Coach Curtis in the Louisiana State All-Star game. Still to this day, good friends with Coach, and his son-in-law roomed with me up at LSU for a year, Tommy Faubacher. My father played at Tulane, so I'm a closet Tulane fan. I was thinking back, I was in a game I went to the Saints game. We had season tickets, section 336. Huge Greeny fan back in those days, and I remember the first time the nacho booth was open in the Superdome. That was one of my memories. I told my wife, who's 10 years younger at me, and looked at me like I was nuts. But that was that story. Coach Reese, I was playing at Jesuit when you were coaching, and goes back to Keith Ballard, a former player of yours, that we've started a coaching academy. He is training my son up in Baton Rouge. So small world, and I want to acknowledge Benny Jones out there with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I've been involved in Baton Rouge and done such a wonderful job in New Orleans. So thank you for having me as a part of this lineup. Beautiful day to be at an LSU Tiger. It's been an incredible year. What a fabulous year. The offense has been lights out, obviously. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch what Coach Brady and Coach Ensminger have come up with, and to watch Joe Burrow. And just watch the way that he's matured and taken on this offense, and watch it in person. It's not after the play, it's the before the play, right? Anybody that's played X's and O's, and just this guy is a pro already, right? He's taking it's been documented. He basically has one graduate class. He's in there with the coaches watching film all day, and the stuff that he does pre-snap. You don't see that too often in our game. It's truly been a pleasure to see that. Defensively, obviously this team got beat up a little bit at Texas, and it's been fun to see as they've gotten people back healthy. They're starting to gel a little bit. They've started to clean up a little bit of some of the miscues they were having in the past game, and so they're hitting on all cylinders. They played obviously better the last couple weeks out against Mississippi State, and had a nice game against Auburn last week. Speaking of Auburn, one of the fun things about playing in the SEC, and as Coach said, I agree with him, that the Americans have a better league than the ACC. You get so many great coaches. And even Mississippi State last week, Bob Shoop had some really interesting stuff, and the way that people are coming up with things to try and defend Joe Burrow. There are a couple of snaps in the first half. Mississippi State came up and ran double brackets on both Jefferson and Chase. And finally, they had to throw the ball to somebody else and broke some plays open to Moss, a tight end. They had McMath for a touchdown, but just the chess match that goes on. This week, Kevin Steele comes out and runs 3 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker, 7 DBs, played 25 snaps of it. It took LSU into the second quarter to figure out what they were doing. It was a look he had never shown before in his coaching career. It won on film at Auburn. It was effective. Auburn got 16 hurry/sacks on Joe Burrow, and finally, they made some adjustments, and that's part of football. Made some adjustments. They ran the football for over 100. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had over 132 yards rushing in that football game against the #1 rush defense in the SEC. And obviously, Burrow eventually got his yards. But you're going to see that in our league, that you have such great talent and such fantastic coaching. And it was typical LSU Auburn. Anytime those teams play, it is a physical football game. So LSU's 8-0 at the bye. They'll get back to work today. Pretty healthy. I know somebody probably asked me about Grant Delpit. I actually saw him in that last series. To me, he looked like he was able to put 85–90% weight on his foot/ankle. I don't know that Ed's going to come out and say anything about him, but it didn't look to be that serious. But I'll also tell you, I didn't think Terrence Marshall would, that serious at Vanderbilt. That was more of a turf monster than anything else. But LSU's healthy. And they've done a nice job with this schedule, which I think's really been favorable. The way that you had the 2 open dates, the fact you played Texas early on and had a stretch there where you could rest some people, and you've gone through this 3-game SEC set against Florida, at Mississippi State, and Auburn, and come out with just maybe 1 or 2 people that are a little dinged up, nothing major, and going into Tuscaloosa, who obviously has a bunch of injury concerns. So Alabama, we haven't had any common opponents with Alabama. I've been blessed enough, LSU let me watch some wide cut. I don't know if anyone sees, we do some television on CST, which is some wide cut. I have not watched Alabama. I'm enjoying the open week. I'll probably get to some of that later this week. Obviously, Coach Saban does an incredible job, and they're a fantastic football team, and they lost some people on the defensive side of the football. But I think it'll be a higher scoring game than 9-6. Based off the way both offenses are playing, but it's always a great atmosphere with LSU and Alabama. And with that, I'll take some questions. I'll be happy to.
In the past, this game has been so much hype and expectations and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this year, it kind of looks like whoever loses this game, they're still going to be in the hunt. So does that take some pressure off of them a little bit, and not have so much pressure on, man, we got to beat these guys,
Yeah.
we got to beat these guys?
So I think for the fan base, right, perhaps, but you got to realize, the coach is absolutely not. I mean, I think Coach Ogeron will tell you, for 52 weeks, he walks around the state, and that's all people want to talk about. Hey, you going to beat Bama this year? This is the year we beat Bama. I think it's not a coaching cliche, and I think these coaches will tell you it's the next game. And it's a big one. And I don't think anybody necessarily wants to back into the college football playoffs, whereas you've got the fans that are looking at it the other way. Right. Alabama, no, you can throw Alabama under the bus. It's okay to do that here. But no, yeah, I mean, I think it's about, they both want to win this football game. I don't think that plays into it. And, so many things happen in college football. It's a crazy game. Last week, Kansas State beat Oklahoma. Nobody saw that one coming. So there's a lot of football to be played. And LSU still has 4 football games. I'll tell you, going up to Ole Miss on a Saturday after playing Alabama when you just left everything on the field, that's not an easy trip. I don't care what their record is. That's always a tough spot. So LSU still got 4 more football games. Yes, sir.
I'm going to talk over to recruiting a little bit.
Sure.
I think I looked this morning, LSU's got 24 commitments.
Right.
And there's a lot of big name players that are still out there that they're looking at. How do you think that's going to fit in with what they have left?
So, yeah, I don't know. I think if anyone knows, I think that my opinion, right, on the way that they're handling it, I think Coach Ogeron wants. It'll be interesting if you put something in your back pocket in terms of you save a scholarship. Me personally, I'm a fan of that. In case you catch anything in the transfer portal, you've got to have an availability, right? I would, but I think that after the last 2 years, I don't think Coach Ogeron or his staff want any signing day surprises, right? And everything I've heard is try to get that signing day on the first day. Get it done, get it in, and get your spot, and then let's move on to next year. But I don't know. I'm sure that, and I don't think they're going to tip their hand exactly what they're, in terms of how's that going to play out. But I think they're going to fill as many seats as they possibly can on that first day. And the interesting thing to me, do you sit around and have a scholarship in your back pocket? 2 years ago, that turned into Joe Burrow, and that turned into your ex-player, Alexander, the DB that came in from Stanford that played some valuable minutes for you, and so I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch.
Are there spaces from last year that they can still use?
I don't know all the math on that.
You don't know
I don't know where that. I think you can only sign 25. I do know that. That's a coach. I think you can only. Coach McCluskey would know better than me. In this year, you can only sign 25 from that, right?
Yeah, one of the things I heard over the weekend, one of their commitments already has 60 hours of college credit while he's in high school.
Right.
So he won't count against that total 25.
You see, you're more well-versed than I am on that recruiting, because my 6-year-old daughter plays flag football on Monday night, and I spend four nights a week coaching her up on some of that. She's got 16 touchdowns, so we're taking offers right now. But I'm not sure of all the ins and outs with it. What's that? If Coach Curtis saw my daughter right now, she'd be over at JT. There's no question. We have to move back to Harahan for that to happen. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, somebody? Going once. Thank y'all for having me. Always great to be home.